Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Toromont podcast series. I'm Brian Davis, Construction Solutions Manager here at Toromont Cat. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Dozer best practices. We get a lot of questions thrown at us from time to time by different customers on different things, so we thought we'd put a little list together on some of the best practice techniques to think about when you're running your dozer. First thing I can tell you is proper gear selection for your application is key. Everybody wants to go out there and go fast. You know what? Sometimes the turtle wins the race. When you're doing hard dozing or heavy pushing, it requires a lower gear. Why put that thing in a higher gear when it's going to lug like crazy? It's not going to get the most efficient push. One full pass is much more efficient than doing 2 or 3 small passes at a higher rate of speed. We've got a saying here at Toromont when it comes to bulldozers and proper dozing, proper gear selection. Jim, what's our saying?
Full load and slow is the way to go.
Absolutely. Lots of times I get out to job sites and I see dozer operators going back and forth in a high gear range. They're not really moving any material.
They tickle the ground.
Slow the machine down and load the blade up. It's got a capacity rating on it for a reason. Use it. If you're doing light dozing or finish grade work, now you're talking about a higher speed. You can go a little faster. Do a little more speed on that application. So proper gear selection is key. When you're moving large amounts of material, use a slot dozing technique. Now you're going to say, slot dozing technique?
A what?
Basically, you're cutting a slot the width of the blade of the machine down about 1/2 meter in depth, and with every time you back up to start pushing more material, you're using the sidewalls of that slot to help maintain the material in front of your blade. Instead of material flowing around your blade, it's going to stay in front of the blade, held in there by the slots, it's the walls of the slot that you've just cut. It allows you to move more material forward with every pass.
So it effectively holds that material in front and makes your blade larger.
Exactly. Now, it's not going to work in every heavy dozing application. You get into really heavy clays where the machine is eventually going to spin out. But it will still hold that material in front of the blade versus having it roll around and at the end of your pass, having only half the material on the blade. So it's a great technique to use. Another tip, whenever possible, push material down a grade versus up a slope. Always easier to have gravity on your side.
Gravity is your friend.
I think it was Mr. Newton that showed us that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Always push material down versus up when possible. The next best practice, and this is a big one, guys, minimize your undercarriage wear whenever possible. Remember, your undercarriage wears 3 times faster when you're in reverse than when you're in forward. So there's some things you can do to minimize that undercarriage. Use short pushes when you're production dozing to avoid long reverse times. The length of push differentiates between the size of the machine. The smaller machines, you're not going to push quite as far as a really large machine, but try and minimize those pushes to avoid long reverse travel.
Hey, then you can use that slot dozing technique if you do short pushes, right?
That's right. Yep. Absolutely. When you're doing fine grading on long stretches, like let's say you're grading a soccer field, something like that, or a turf field, and you're doing long runs, turn around at the other end and grade on the return pass. Believe it or not, there's less wear and tear in turning a machine around 180 degrees than there is in backing up all the way to make another pass. Be more efficient. When using the blade to pry material, a lot of times an operator will use the side or the corner bit to pry material up and, kind of get that. When you're doing a slot doze technique, you're filling that slot, you're kind of point loading one side. It's fine to do, but you should switch sides from time to time. Don't always point load off the left side of the blade or always off the right side of the blade. Constantly doing that on one side is going to start to cause uneven wear patterns in your undercarriage.
Funny, Brian, that always happens when people are left-handed or right-handed. They always want to favor one side or the other.
Absolutely. You do have a natural tendency to favor one side. You have a little better visibility to one side, or that's your more comfortable side. Try and push your operators to use both sides so that you kind of even out your wear on your undercarriage. Another tip, avoid driving over large rocks whenever possible. Seems kind of, obvious, but you'd be amazed how many people will drive over boulders. Sometimes you don't see them and you back over them. But if you do have to drive over them, reduce your speed, reduce the shock load on the machine, reduce the shock load on your undercarriage. Another one, big time, especially this time of the year, clean out mud and debris from the undercarriage on a regular basis. It prevents wear, and this time of the year, in the wintertime, it prevents freeze up. That's kind of key.
Never a fun job, but a necessary job.
It's probably the worst job there is in operating a dozer, I admit, but it's a necessary evil. Another tip in minimizing your undercarriage wear is avoid spinning the tracks. Everybody likes to get in there and get a big blade full of dirt. Hey, look at me, I'm spinning the tracks. Look at how much production I'm getting. Spinning the tracks equals zero production. Adjust your blade load. Maintain a steady forward travel speed. All spinning the tracks is doing is wasting your time, burning fuel, and increasing your undercarriage wear. It's not a good thing. On the back end of the tractor, some tractors, they have rippers or scarifiers. When you're ripping material, always be sure to select a speed that's appropriate for the material you're ripping. So I'm thinking in rock, you're going to probably want to go slowly.
That would be advised. Things can break quickly when you have that force change.
Absolutely, especially on the bigger dozers. If you go too fast in some materials, you will actually break the ripper shank right off. You can snap it. So keep it slow. When you're in dirt, you can go a little faster. Always try and select the speed appropriate to the material you're ripping. If you have an adjustable ripper or an adjustable parallelogram ripper, the key technique here is to stand the ripper shank as vertical as possible in order to penetrate the material you are ripping. And then you want to lay that ripper shank back and so that the tip is being pushed through the material rather than dragged through the material.
We have another phrase, I think, with ripping. Brian.
We do have another phrase, Jim. What's that phrase?
Show me the chrome.
Absolutely. When you're using your ripper properly, you will see no chrome on the cylinders, upper cylinders on the ripper when you're penetrating the material you're ripping. And then when you lay that ripper tooth to the proper position, you will see those cylinders extend and you'll see the chrome. Show me the chrome.
Yeah, like you basically want that ripper shank and tooth tucked almost underneath the tractor.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you want to do a little test, guys, you can actually listen to the engine lug change as you roll that ripper shank. Stick it into the ground at vertical and try and drag it. You'll hear the machine lug. You'll see the track start to spin. Lay that tooth back and you'll start speeding up and you'll hear the engine calm itself down and get into work mode. Not lugging us.
Show me the chrome.
Show me the chrome. So there you go, guys. Just a few quick tips on dozer best practices, things to do when you're running your bulldozers. Thanks for tuning in.